MSc in Environmental Geology from the prestigious University of Port Harcourt, and a PhD in Environmental Geology from the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Futo. She has been contributing to the academic community through research, engagement in continuous professional development, and fostering a supportive learning environment for her students since 2014 to date. She lectures both she lectures both undergraduate and postgraduate in environmental and engineering geology courses, which cuts across geographic information system, geo-environmental hazards, climate change, environmental planning, geochemistry, and remote sensing. She attended short courses on groundwater modeling, IHE Delft, the Netherlands, amongst other workshops. She has served as a keynote speaker on several platforms. She holds a quarterly outreach and public education program virtually on clean water workshop. She is an active member of several professional bodies. Join me, great women in science, as we make welcome Dr. Mrs. Chinyere Caroline Amadi. You're welcome, ma'am.
So I am very passionate about climate change issues, and I feel that one of the ways to throw in my advocate is to be in a group like this, to provide my own fair share on climate change solutions. I always tell people wherever I go to that if after all your scientific innovations and all your technical know-how, if you have the solutions to climate change issues and you don't communicate to people, you have not done your lot, because the message has to go around from the smallest people in the community to the local people, to regional level, global level. Even stakeholders have to be aware of some of this climate change solutions issues. So, the next slide, please. So this is my outline of presentation. So while the Earth's climate has changed throughout history, the current warming is happening at a rate not seen in the past 10,000 years. According to NASA 2017, most of the warming occurred in the past 40 years, with 7 most recent years being the warmest. The years 2016 and 2020 were declared the warmest years on record. And so from global temperature rise, to warmer oceans, to rise in sea level, to increase in acidification and more, the climate change evidences abound. Nutrition, food availability, and food security are cross-cutting issues that permeate the entire life course of humans from conception to old age. So there's no human being who would say he or she does not need food. From the day you were born to when you die, you need food for sustenance. And so food is not only essential for sustenance and physical survival, but food also influences various aspects of human life, including nutrition and health, cultural identity, economic stability, cognitive function, environmental sustainability, social well-being, and food security. According to WHO 2008, about 800 million people are undernourished, and about 170 million infants and young children are underweight. Each year, more than 5 million children die from undernutrition. Climate change could affect food security at the global, regional, and local levels. It could also disrupt food availability, reduce access to food, and affect food quality by creating anthropogenic imbalance to the ecosystem. Again, according to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, 2009, climate change is attributed directly or indirectly to human activities that alters the composition of the global atmosphere, and in which, in addition to natural climate variability observed over comparable time periods, anthropogenic climate change is also one of the greatest environmental challenges the world faces. I want you to know that these emissions also occur naturally, especially during change in Earth's orbit, or as a geologist, they told us that during volcanic eruption, so many gases are emitted into the air. So, but this natural variability contributes very little to the greenhouse effect we see today. So, most of the effects of greenhouse gases we feel today in the form of global warming come from anthropogenic climate change, which are accentuated by the Industrial Revolution, by the use of fossil fuel in doing so many businesses, agricultural, industrial, name it. So greenhouse gases emissions have increased rapidly since the Industrial Revolution and reached their highest level in the decade in 2010. There has been a marked increase in global surface temperature of 0.89 degrees between 1901 to 2012. So as a result of the release of these greenhouse gases. So even as minute as this temperature change may look, if you begin to look at it over decades of years, you will be marveled at what the accumulation would be. Accumulation of this level of increase could cause devastating effects on our ecosystem. So according to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change 2009, there are 5 major greenhouse gases, and there are other minor ones, but these are the major contributors to global warming. So the carbon dioxide is never always left out, it's always the first on the list. And the sources are mainly from burning of fossil fuel, deforestation, and other activities. The methane is always there from the same activity, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, sulfur hexafluorides, and other minute gases, which may not really accumulate as much as these ones accumulate. And so this was shared from global emission in 2004. You can see the percentage contribution by these gases. Global warming has led to changes in cloud patterns, snow cover, rainfall, wind patterns, ocean currents. These are extreme effects of some of the global warming changes. So when greenhouse gases are emitted into the atmosphere, mainly they remain there for long periods, ranging from decades to many millennia. Over time, these gases are removed from the atmosphere by chemical reactions or by emission sinks, such as the oceans and vegetations, which absorb greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. So these are some of the global consequences of climate change. This was adapted from Climate Change Synthetic Report 2014. As you can see in Figure A, that diagram depicts the globally average combined land and ocean surface temperature anomaly. On the left, you can see the increase in temperature from -1 to about 0.3 within that age range of about 150 years. The same thing happens in Figure B, where the globally average sea level change rose from -0.2 to about 0.04 over this number of years, about 150 years. Same thing happens in Figure C, where carbon dioxide in parts per million rose from 280 to about 380. The same thing with methane gas, parts per billion, from 800 to about 1,800. The same thing applies to nitrous oxide, from about 270 to about 330. So, as you can see, from 2000 till this time, you would imagine the accumulation that has taken place. So our climate is fast warming up, causing so many problems on our ecosystem, which in one way or the other impacts on our food security. So the ecosystem is involved in the recycling of nutrients between the biotic and abiotic components, and it helps in maintaining the usual flow of energy in carbon cycle, energy cycle, nitrogen cycle, oxygen cycle, and water cycle. It may interest you to know that there are so many activities going on within these cycles which are beneficial to both the aquatic and the terrestrial ecosystem. I want you to know that extreme events can alter some of the cycle, having super effects on our food chain and our food web. So the ecosystem absorbs greenhouse gases from the atmosphere over time. The ecosystem provides the conditions necessary for local and commercial food production, as well as for subsistence living, and provides habitats to wild plants and animals. Promotes various food chains and food webs, controls essential ecological processes, and promotes life. However, our ecosystem is being threatened by climate change factors, stressors, exacerbating aquatic and terrestrial food scarcity at both local and global levels. So the global food system today faces the significant challenge of feeding more people amid dwindling natural resources and a more fragile natural environment. About 520 million people, that is around 8% of the world's population, depend on seafood as a source of protein, income, or family stability. That is according to Food and Agriculture Organization 2009. So sudden rises in temperature and acidification can lead to loss of marine habitats and species. This is because high temperatures reduce oxygen solubility in water, which favor the survival of parasites and bacteria, which reduce fish survival, as well as growth and reproductive success of wild populations and aquaculture species. So shifting ocean currents and warming waters are changing the distribution of fish stocks and altering the structure of ecosystems. Plantains at the bottom of the marine food chains are sensitive to water temperatures and oxygen concentrations. They can die off if the water becomes too warm. Animals further up the food chain, like whales, can suffer food shortages when this happens. So climate change affects both subsistence and commercial farming. It causes increase of pests and diseases accentuated by rising temperature, thereby declining agricultural production. Again, floods, droughts, heat waves, hurricanes, wildfires, these are extreme weather events, can drive down food crop yields, can destroy livestock, and interfere with the transport of food. The use of major commodity like the land crops, corn, rice, oats, will definitely be affected by climate change. So according to Food and Agriculture Organization 2015, temperatures are likely to increase, that's a prediction, from 1.5 to 4.0 degrees centigrade in this century. Projections on yield reduction show a drop of up to 50%, and crop revenue is forecast to fall by as much as 90% by 2100. So climate change would definitely cause soil fertility and moisture to reduce. Climate change is expected to increase the frequency of rainfall, which would definitely harm crops by eroding soil and depleting nutrients. Deteriorating pasture conditions, livestock losses in both farming and pastoral communities are conditions that are worsened by climate change. So, for food security to be assured, there has to be these 4 dimensions. The food has to be available for consumption, it has to be accessible, it has to be efficiently used, and there has to be stability, and that stability also depends on availability. So without these 4 dimensions, we cannot be proud to say that we are secure in terms of food. And so climate change can have impact on food security, increased climate variability, increased frequency and intensity of extreme events would affect food supply, access and availability. Increase in food demand, increase in food price, disappearance of agricultural plant species, food losses, food waste, water scarcity, and limitation in the availability of land are expected to occur. These are predictions. So ocean acidification and other effects of climate change are fueled by the release of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide, which affects the food population. We want the food population because the ocean is like a sink in the ecosystem. So the ocean is a sink, is like a house that keeps carbon dioxide after a long period of time. So when it reacts with water, it gives us what we call the carbonic acid. So when there's a breakdown of this carbonic acid, you are sure that there will be a hydrogen ion and carbonates. And so this hydrogen ion is responsible for reducing the pH in the oceanic water. So that is why the fish population is always affected by warmer climate. So in conclusion, the oceans and vegetation are parts of our ecosystem. They act as sinks that absorb greenhouse gases from the atmosphere after a long period of time. These gases cause lots of changes in the natural chemistry in these ecosystems, which affect their natural balance, hence the ability to contribute adequately in food chains. Reduction, adaptation, and mitigation strategies can help to ameliorate the risk of climate change on food availability and security. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm coming from the public health angle, okay? In public health, you have to like offer a solution, you know? We've heard the problem. So when women now in science, what can we do in our own space, you know, to mitigate the effect of climate change, you know, in our own space? What can we do? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. Okay, I think second to the last slide had some of those solutions. But there's no fit for one size, solution to all this. But I think and I know that in our own little way, I don't know how little that can be, but I know that fossil fuels are the main contributors to the emission of those greenhouse gases which cause the global warming. And of all the effects of climate change, the global warming looks like is the one that is giving us the most problem because we're even feeling it as we are here. Your own little way, I think that you can reduce the use of stressors, things that can emit some of these gases, like the methane gas, the carbon dioxide, the nitrous oxide. But and let me tell you, I know that most of these problems are not really from our little way of activities. Most of the problems are from industrial activities because the burning of fossil fuel in large quantity can throw into the air so many tons of these gases. So in your own little ways, you can be an advocate. Your own way of advocating is to talk to people, about the danger in the release of these gases. If you're in a garden where you have major users of this fossil fuel, you can lend your voice. If there are alternative ways of maybe using cleaner energy, greener energy, that may be a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Find out the last speaker concerning the resident solutions. Because I cannot talk about climate change without adaptation. How do we cope that the extreme weather in terms of dilapidation, flooding in the down south? There must be a way that we can cope with those scenarios that we don't have absolute control. So talking about climate change, what are those strategies like you know that the desert is encroaching, the river basins they are all drying up. What can we do on our own to minimize these changes in order to achieve food security? Because if we just allow it the way it is, farmers at their own end process some value addition actors must have to devise means to ensure that this climate change effect do not stop our own production at the local level.
There can be early warnings that can notify people, especially when we have monitoring stations that monitor some of these events, some of these climate parameters. They can be early warning signs, they can be building flood defenses, even though we know that those solutions may not 100% give us what we want, but they can go a long way. There's also there's also an outcry on the stoppage on deforestation. Yes, on deforestation, because when you do that, some of those terrestrial habitats will certainly be displaced, and that will also affect food production in one way or the other.
We need to learn how to plant trees. Okay, plant trees because we're talking about carbon dioxide being emitted. Plants absorb a lot of this carbon dioxide, and we should stress on deforestation. Don't cut down trees except they pose danger, maybe because they're of their position. Then plant flowers as much as possible around.
Yes.
Just be plant friendly. That's one of the ways. Another way can be avoid burning. Like most of us, some of us use wood, firewood, to cook. That's part of it. Another one is driving your vehicle. If you can walk, walk. Because when you drive, the fuel is through combustion is releasing carbon dioxide. These are some of the things we can do in our own space to curtail the effect of, no matter how small, they say tiny drops of water make a mighty ocean. Maybe it's small, but that little thing you're doing is actually adding something, to the atmosphere.
Thank you very much.
It's not a question per se, but just to address what she said plant trees and flowers. But I want to say, like later said, plant. This is the planting season. We have been told the other time this department organized something at the staff level, and we are told there is no excuse now that you live in a skyscraper. It's not an excuse not to plant. There are pots, buckets, bags, different media that you can use to plant. The idea is to plant. The only way we can combat this is to plant. And I want to add this that as you plant, as much as possible, go organic. Enough of inorganic fertilizers again. Enough, because that is part of the emission. Yes. As we plant, in fact, go green. That's why when my prof here said agree is green, I was looking for pots of flowers or pots of. Nowadays, we don't even, the pots should not be used just for flowers. They should be used for things that we can use, not just for aesthetics, but economic empowerment is part of it. And then going organic. And we can easily go organic. We all have kitchen effluents, kitchen waste, we all produce. It's a question of dedicating just a little portion of the house. And if you see something now, we can this biodiesel gas that it's the new rate. It's very, very possible. So that we should stop adding to the degradation. If we utilize the kitchen waste, we put it to better use and then produce something that can be beneficial to us directly. I think that will be part of combating climate change. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to know if you have found out any sort of correlation with all these meetings, their mitigation, if it's affected. Because from the research we did, we saw that it has to do with emotional sentiment, what people are saying. We saw that it comes up only when these meetings are going on. Then after it, everything goes down. So that means implementation is our problem. We know the problem. We also know the solution, but implementing it. So I don't know if you have idea.
Okay, you're talking about, I think they work under IPCC, this Intercontinental Panel for Climate Change. The last time I read a document, their most recent document about the conference that held, I think somewhere in Dubai or so. Yes, I think some persons from some countries also reported how they have been strategizing to see how they can reduce it. But that is the best I know. Because what we keep saying is that do this, if not, there will be this, do this, if not. But I know that so many countries are trying to put checks. Because if you look at some countries trying to produce electric cars, also one of the ways they are trying to reduce emission by going from fossil fuel to cleaner energy sources. I think a lot of countries are working towards it, but so far I've not really heard. I've not heard, but I'm hoping. I'm very desperate to hear that there are changes. Thank you.
A child.